Hello everyone, as I promised you this during the first lesson about the modal verbs, so I kept my promise. I kept my promise since I know that a promise is a debt. So here is the second lesson about the modal verbs. It is called mastering modal verbs. This means whatever you're going to do here is to try our level best to master the use of different modal verbs that we studied. So we're going to do this by exploring the use of these modal verbs with in-depth examples and usage. So it is essential that you be reversed from the beginning to the end of this lesson so you can understand each and everything about the modal verbs. So let's get started. To start with, let's ask ourselves this very simple question. Why do we use modal verbs? Why do we use modal verbs? So we use modal verbs or modals to show if we believe something is certain, possible, or impossible. For example, we can say, my keys must be in the car. It might rain tomorrow. That can't be Peter's coat. It's too small. We also use them to do things like talk about ability, ask permission, and make requests and offers. For example, we can say, I can't swim. May I ask a question? Could I have some tea, please? Would you like some help? These are the modal verbs mostly used to express possibility in sentences. We use may, might, and could to say that something is possible but not certain. Here we have example sentences. You can say, they may come by car. This means maybe they will come by car. They might be at home. To mean maybe they're at home. We're not sure that they are really at home. If we don't hurry, we could be late. This means maybe the reps will be late. So we're not sure that if we don't hurry, we'll be late. We use can to make general statements about what is possible. You can say, it can be very cold here in winter. This means it is sometimes very cold here in winter. You can easily get lost in this town. This means people often get lost in this town. When you try to see from these sentences we have here, you will see that all the modal verbs used here have been used to express possibility. So this may, might, could, and can have been used to express possibility. But be careful. We do not use can to talk about specific events. For example, speaker A can say, where's John? Then speaker B, I am not sure. He may be in his office. Or he might be in his office. Or he could be in his office. We do not say he can be in his office. No, we don't use can here. Notice the difference in meaning between can and may, might, and could. For example, here we can say, that dog can be dangerous. This means sometimes that dog is dangerous. I know, I am sure, I know this. But when we say that dog may be dangerous, or that dog might be dangerous, or that dog could be dangerous, this means perhaps that dog is dangerous. I don't know. Maybe that dog is dangerous. We use may have, might have, or could have to make guesses about the past. For example, we can say, I haven't received your letter. It may have got lost in the post. It's 10 o'clock. They might have arrived by now. Well, at then, they could have got lost. We use could to make general statements about the past. For example, we can say, it could be very cold there in winter. This means it was sometimes very cold there in winter. You could easily get lost in that town. This means people often got lost in that town. What are the modal verbs we can use to express impossibility in sentences? We use can't or cannot to say that something is impossible. For example, here you can say, That can't be true. You cannot be serious. We use can't have or couldn't have to say that a past event was impossible. For example here, you can say, they know the way here. They can't have got lost. If Jones was at work until 6, he couldn't have done the matter. Let's now see modal verbs for certainty. Modal verbs for certainty. We use must to show we are sure something is true and we have reasons for our belief. For example, you can say, it's getting dark. It must be quite late. You haven't eaten all day. You must be hungry. We use should to suggest something is true and we have reasons for our suggestion. For example, you can say, ask Miranda. She should know. It's nearly 6 o'clock. They should arrive soon. We use must have or should have for the past. You can say here, they hadn't eaten all day. They must have been hungry. You look happy. You must have heard the good news. It's nearly 11 o'clock. They should have arrived by now. Modal verbs for ability. Modal verbs for ability. We use can and can't to talk about someone's skill or general abilities. In this context, you can say, she can speak several languages. He can swim like a fish. They can't dance very well. We use can and can't to talk about the ability to do something at a specific time in the present or future. For example, you can say, I can see you. Help, I can't breathe. We use could and couldn't to talk about the past. In this context, we can say, she could speak several languages. I couldn't see you. We use could have to say that someone had the ability or opportunity to do something, but did not do it. For example, you can say, she could have learned Swahili, but she didn't want to. I could have danced all night, but I didn't. Modal verbs used for permission. Modal verbs used for permission. We use can to ask for permission to do something. You can say, can I ask a question, please? Can we go home now? Could is more formal and polite than can. You can say, could I ask a question, please? Could we go home now? May is another more formal and polite way of asking for permission. You can say, may I ask a question, please? May we go home now? Giving permission. Here we have different modal verbs that we use while giving permission. We use can to give permission. Here you can say, you can go home now. You can borrow my pen if you like. May is a more formal and polite way of giving permission. Here you can say, you may go home now. We use can to say that someone has permission to do something. In this context, we can say, we can go out whenever we want. Students can travel for free. May is a more formal and polite way of saying that someone has permission. For example, you can say, students may travel for free, refusing permission. Refusing permission. We use can't and may not to refuse permission or say that someone does not have permission. In this context, you can say, you can't go home yet. Students may not travel for free. Modal verbs for requests. Modal verbs for requests. We use could you and would you as polite ways of telling or asking someone to do something. In this context, you can say, could you take a message, please? Would you carry this for me, please? Can and will are less polite. For example, can you take a message, please? Will you carry this for me, please? So you see here, when you use can and will, it is less polite. So instead use could you and would you for more polite ways. Offers and invitations. Offers and invitations. We use can I to make offers. In this context, you can say, can I help you? Can I do that for you? We can also use shall I. For example, you can say, shall I help you with that? Shall I call you on your mobile? We sometimes say I can, or I could, or I will to make an offer. For example, you can say, I can do that for you if you like. I could give you a lift to the station. I'll do that for you if you like. I give you a lift to the station. We use would you like or would you like to for invitations. Here you can say, would you like to come round tomorrow? Would you like another drink? We can use you must or we must for a very polite invitation. In this context, you can say, you must come round and see us. We must meet again soon. Modal verbs for suggestions. Modal verbs for suggestions. We use should and shouldn't to make suggestions and give advice. In this context, you can say, you should send an email. You shouldn't go by train. We also use could to make positive suggestions. In this context, you can say, we could meet at the weekend. You could eat out tonight. You can use conditionals to give advice. You can say, Dan will help you if you ask him. It should be remembered that past tenses here are more polite. You can say, Dan would help you if you asked him. Modal verbs for obligations. Modal verbs for obligations. We use must or need to say that it is necessary to do something. In this context, you can say, you must stop at a red light. Everyone needs to bring something to eat. You can wear what you like, but you must look neat and tidy. We use mustn't for prohibitions. This means to say that it is necessary not to do something. You can say, you mustn't make any noise in the library. You mustn't say anything to her. It's a surprise. We use had to, positive, and couldn't, negative, if we are talking about the past. In this context, we can say, everyone had to bring something to eat. You couldn't make any noise in the library. Our today's lesson ends by here. Thank you very and very much for having been with us from the beginning of the lesson up to the end. If you have any question to ask, please feel free to ask. Write your question in the comment section. Again, remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share our lesson videos. Bye-bye. I love you.
Jean Marie Vianney, a teacher through and through, with a heart full of kindness and a vision clear and true. In the hills and in the classroom, his voice will always sound. What goes around comes around. Forever he's renowned.